Won't adjust the schedule so I can attend prom? Back in my younger days, before most people had cell phones, I was working at a fast food restaurant during my senior year of high school. The main reason I decided to work there was because one of my best friends worked there. And around the time I started working, our other best friend joined us. We were very close, and we spent our minimum wage earnings on stupid stuff. This fast food restaurant was the king when it came to burgers. So we had to learn how to prepare a Whopper of a hamburger in no time flat. We also had to learn how to manage the fried food station, the registers, the drive-through, all specialty items, and all cleaning and end-of-day operations. We were pretty sharp kids despite being stupid teenagers. And within a couple months we could run an entire shift by ourselves. Normally there were at least 4 or 5 workers and a manager. We were regularly scheduled with just 3 of us and a manager to work all the night shifts. And we enjoyed working together and running the store. We knew the manager was saving money on labor costs, which made the whole store look good when compared against other stores in the district. But we didn't care. We worked hard, had fun together, and made a nearly criminally small wage for our efforts. At the time it seemed like we had made it big, as it tends to do. Prom season came around. We all went to the same school, so we all had prom on the same day. Compounding the issue, one of my friends was taking another worker as his date, thinking it would help with scheduling. We notified our managers several weeks in advance. We were all told no. We found that amusing, because of course we were going to go to our prom. Well, the company policy was that as long as you called before missing a shift, then you wouldn't get in trouble for calling in with an emergency. We timed our calls so that we would all call within a few minutes of each other. The poor manager on shift almost broke down crying. But we felt self-righteous as teenagers often do. I was the last to call, and the manager was full on begging me to not call out sick. We went off and enjoyed our prom. The next day when we went in for our shifts, we found out the store had struggled in our absence. The manager had scrambled to get people to come in on their scheduled day off, incurring some overtime. To call overtime discouraged with that company would be an understatement. Some of the managers glared at us, while some others gave us knowing grins. Within a week, we were only ever scheduled with 2 of us working together. I'm sure it ended up costing the company a lot. But it was also very clear that the management had gotten in trouble for not fixing the schedule. When we informed them of our prom, the story does have a happy ending. I met my wife while working there, and we've been together for over 20 years now. My cousin's best friend, maid of honor, worked at a very large pet store that thought they were smart for all the products and services they offered. She requested months in advance and was still denied a Saturday off to be in the wedding. They actually told her they would fire her if she didn't show up that day. So she got fired. Years ago I started a job at gas station, and when I hired on I told the owner I wanted a week off. In August, about 6 months away, he said it was okay. The middle of July I mentioned to him about the time off I wanted and he told me it wouldn't work, and I could not have the time off. I asked him if he wanted my 2 weeks notice verbally or in writing. I got the time off. Gotta love businesses that think they take priority in their min-wage workers' lives. Once in a lifetime event versus another day of work? No contest. Employee: no, I'm not making a time off request to go to prom. I'm telling you I'm going to prom and you're going to have to now deal with it. What happened? Manager 2? Oh, Manager 1. They all called out. Why? Oh, wasn't there prom that night? They should have just asked off in advance like the rules say. Well, same thing happened to me. Although at a certain, down-under, steakhouse. I happened to be the date for the predominant HS. I didn't go to. Of the other employees, so they refused to give me the night off. Told them I wasn't coming in well before and told them before the shift. The front of house got pissed off and ended up firing me. About 2 weeks later the manager rehired me. Turns out the FOH didn't have the authority to fire people. Both KFC and Subway, least mine, would move employees to any store for the night per day that might have an events like prom going on. And least my city, the 4 high schools normally don't have proms that are the same day, so you could either trade kids or shift some adults around. This was on them. I worked at a smaller McDeal and I let them know months ahead, hey, I'm doing tech center and I will need a bit more time off to do required events. Without fail, I put in requests 3 or more weeks ahead and they would schedule me for that day. I never got written up for it though. As I would even say, I'm not coming in that day. I put in a notice for it. Every day I worked within a week of the day off. My high school self just assumed they would just call someone else in and never considered it may be a hassle for them. But I still don't regret it because I know they had to do that on purpose. How hard would it have been to have scheduled the people they ended up having to call in anyway? Your manager deserved it for being a dick and thinking some fast food high school job should take priority above your actual life. I worked at a place with junior in the name back in high school. For 3 whole days. Day 1 was a 4-hour training shift. I worked 8 hours. No breaks. No lunch. Day 2 was 10 hours. No breaks. No lunch. Day 3 I was yelled at by the manager for sweating. I was hired to close and clean the charbroiler. Of course anyone is going to sweat. I quit on the spot. And the company paid me 3 weeks full-time salary if I agreed not to take them to court. Dumb manager. What did he expect from teens who apparently worked fine other times and gave plenty of warning? That manager really screwed themselves, lol. Serves 'em right. Couldn't have been bad for them. Can someone actually help me understand how time off works in US? I've seen so many people saying they have a week of paid time off per year or something similar. And the minimum wage is non-existent, right? I find it really unfair but also don't understand what are the laws exactly. I met my wife while working there. And we've been together for over 20 years now. And that was how the Burger King met his queen. I too worked for said king of burgers. The nightmares I could tell you about policies as crazy. I used to work in a big store. Think Mart of the Wall of another country. And I notified a week in advance I couldn't work on a specific Saturday because I was going to the Roger Waters concert. They told me no. And that I had to sort my priorities. So I did it. And went to the concert anyway, lol. You certainly had it your way. Well, that was actually a much different ending than expected for most MC stories. Have my like. Asked for time off to go to my son's wedding in another country a year in advance. Got to the actual date and my nursing unit manager told me I couldn't have the time off as someone was off with a broken ankle and another one was on maternity leave. She wasn't even pregnant when I requested the time off. First time I ever argued about anything. Still had to work later in the week as I was only doing 3 10-hour shifts and it did fit just. Incredibly pissed off by the sheer nerve. Nursing is a hard enough career but never worth giving up precious family events. As a teen I worked for the Golden Arches of Hell. I informed my manager that I was required by my principal of my high school that all graduates were required to attend a mock graduation ceremony or we couldn't graduate. I informed manager about 5 days prior and needed off that day or I could work in the evening. I was given a big no, and if I didn't show up at my scheduled time then don't bother showing up ever again. I explained that it was required so I could graduate. Still a no. I was a young teen mom in my senior year and needed the income. Needless to say, screw that big yellow M, and I went to the mock ceremony and graduated a week later. I worked too hard for my diploma to miss out. I found a better job as I continued my education. I now work in the medical field and never looked back. This dislodged a memory. I worked at Sears during my senior year. In menswear. Other school friends were in other departments. Prom happened. I told the manager I wasn't available. He didn't care. He even threatened me, I think, for a write-up if I didn't come in. I called off with an emergency. Lol. What idiot expects a high schooler to miss prom?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.